And just scrying, call 9. So the angels are just bidding me to relax. Once again, as usual, they're showing me dots in a square formation, a filled square. This square is being rolled up into a tube. The two ends of the tube then extend and form a ring. The ring then rotates and forms a sphere, and the sphere then rotates on itself into a hypersphere. And so, and there's also, but that hypersphere, it also then sort of by changing the parameters becomes a torus, TORUS, with another ring along the inside of it. And so there is some stacking once again, and this stacking is creating basically toruses of increasing size as you go up and down. And so that we have a dual cone about an origin in three-dimensional space made up of stacked rings of increasing size or decreasing size, as the case may be. And the angels are really showing me this, really having me focus on this. And they're also showing me 4 lines. So if one were to be able to quarter each of these rings, going about, let's say, an x-axis and a z-axis, and then instead of basically it's a 2 square pyramids inverted meeting at a point in the center. And so except instead of those ends meeting in a flat square at top, those lines extend into infinity. So you have basically 2 crossing lines about the origin in addition to the XYZ axis. And they're showing those lines sort of flattening down. And they're saying that in 3-dimensional space, it's like this perception. So instead of actually seeing things going off into infinity, into these other dimensions, it's more like we have a compressed view. And so we humans sort of only have so much in our vantage point. So this is a pretty technical and pretty geometric view of what's going on in reality, and kind of we're leaping ahead a little bit from the purely elemental, and right now my foot is on the water tablet, the Western tablet, but I think that this is sort of being shown just, to sort of imply that there's sort of the macrocosm within the microcosm and vice versa. And this is the angels are really trying to impress the reason for the transition between the two, and why the microcosm might have a more limited view. So the angels are showing water sort of being floated into this square pyramid-like formation, and it's sort of trickling down into this origin point, and then suddenly being forced down into this correctly oriented, more like, Egyptian pyramid orientation, and coming down through that, not above it, but within it, and filling that up. And it's sort of going to wherever there are those empty spaces. And they're saying this is like when God is sending specifically heavenly transportation, as it were. He is literally sending down his blessings. It has to kind of go through this strange transformation, as it were, in order for him to send to transport his blessings to us. And so for that reason, things are hidden, is basically the sense I'm getting, and why we're not directly seeing the lines from him to us. and why things seem to undergo a change from the heavenly to the earthly. Okay. And likewise, so when my mind turns to the question of gold and precious stones, the entire thing sort of changes, and it's like, okay, they're sort of closing this idea and moving on to a different metaphor. And for that, I'm seeing a statue kind of coming up from the sand, as it were, from the earth, from the sand, sort of both. And it's like I'm seeing an opening, like a vertical opening of this being, this statue, and it's like if you see a sarcophagus open up on either side, something like that, but it's more like a statue, and a hollow statue. So this is reminding me of the ensouling, or the making a statue a good habitat for the deity. So we're definitely getting into some very Egyptian magic. And it's like right there at the bottom of this is this ring, this gold ring with a diamond in it. And so I see it, and I place my finger, it upon my finger, and it's the index finger of my left hand, as if I were married. And married to somebody new, because obviously I don't have that. I am married. As if I were getting married is what I'm trying to say. And it's like this, there's this feeling of power, and what's the word I'm looking for here? It's like I'm being linked to deities. It's like it really is sort of like when Bilbo puts on the ring, and suddenly, or Frodo puts on the ring and can suddenly see a whole lot more. But instead of like that scary side, it's like the light side of that, or the empowering side of that. And it's like the clarity of that ring and the ethical considerations and stuff like that. If the heart is pure and clean and open, then it can, then suddenly, instead of it being this inherently bad thing, suddenly it's like a wish-granting jewel, to use a Buddhist term, right? And so learning to get one's own heart and one's own self in a spiritually, I'm not going to say enlightened per se, but in an uplifted way, let's put it that way, then it's like when we talk about a jewel, we think of usually, the treasure and the thing in and of itself, but really the wish-granting jewel that is spoken about in Buddhism, that is much more of, okay, there's this beautiful jewel, but the jewel is there to grant the wish that we have. So if somebody is sick, we wish that they were healed. If there is war, we wish that there were peace, or justice, or whatever the case may be, right? And so it's that ability to grant a real and true and sincerely held wish for something to be better. That's what makes the jewel valuable, not the fact that you could sell it for X number of dollars on the street. So this is sort of the sense of, a jewel found in clear waters is the same idea here. So that's the sense that I'm being given of. So the former vision about with the two square pyramids, there was a lot of explanation about why things are as they are, but there's this sense of transportation from the divine to humanity and sending to us what we need, and that linkage, that transportation, not just about the earth, but rather from heaven to earth. And then this is the powers of the angels of precious stones, of gold and precious stones. So, okay, and I'm being told that this is it, but there's also linkages to this vision to the previous two visions that I had today. So the viewer is encouraged to find those audio recordings on my website. So that's it, and thus ends the vision.